Professor Zixathala had seen many species during his 3 centuries of teaching at the Galactic Technical Institute, but humans never ceased to surprise him. The 8-limbed Octarian adjusted his spectral analyzers as he watched Marcus Chen, the only human in his advanced propulsion theory class, struggling with a broken plasma torch. The young man's coveralls were patched in multiple places, and his tools looked like they'd been salvaged from a scrapyard. While his Zephyrian and crystalline classmates worked with pristine equipment worth more than most humans saw in a lifetime, Marcus made do with whatever he could find. "Mr. Chen," Professor Zixathala called out after class, his translator rendering his chittering voice into standard galactic. "A moment, please." Marcus approached hesitantly, his dark eyes wary. 3 months at the Institute had taught him that when aliens took notice of humans, it usually wasn't good news. "Your theoretical work is exceptional," the professor began, his chromatophore patches shifting to warm amber, a sign of approval among his species. "But your practical applications suffered due to inadequate equipment." Marcus's jaw tightened. "I make do with what I have, Professor." "Indeed you do, but imagine what you could accomplish with proper tools." Zixathala extended one of his arms, holding out a credit chip. "Consider this an investment in human potential." Marcus stared at the chip, knowing it contained more credits than his family back on Earth saw in years. "I can't accept this. I haven't earned it." "Then earn it," Zixathala said simply. "Show me what human ingenuity can accomplish when properly equipped." That evening, Marcus stood in the Institute's equipment center, the credit chip heavy in his pocket. Around him, alien students browsed casually through tools that could buy entire human settlements. A Zephyrian student picked up a molecular welder worth 50,000 credits as if it were a simple stylus. Marcus chose carefully: a quantum scanner, a plasma cutter, a gravitational manipulator, and several other pieces of precision equipment. Still, he spent less than half the credits on the chip. The next morning, Marcus was absent from class, and the next. Professor Zixathala's concern grew as days passed without word from his human student. Other faculty members suggested the young man had simply taken the credits and disappeared, a common enough occurrence among the charity cases from developing worlds. But Zixathala knew humans were different. He'd studied their history, a species that had clawed its way from the primordial mud to spaceflight in mere millennia, who turned every setback into a stepping stone, who saw impossible odds not as barriers, but as challenges. On the 10th day, the Institute's proximity alarms began blaring. Zixathala rushed to the observation deck along with hundreds of other faculty and students. In the space beyond the station's shields, something impossible hung in the void. It was a starship, but unlike any design in the galactic databases. Where crystalline vessels were geometric perfection and Zephyrian craft flowed like liquid metal, the ship looked almost organic. Its hull seemed to ripple and shift as if alive. Energy coursed along its surface in patterns that hurt to look at directly. "Unidentified vessel," came the voice of station control. "You are in restricted space. Identify yourself immediately." The response came through the comm system, but also seemed to vibrate through the station's hull itself. "This is Marcus Chen, requesting permission to dock." The docking bay fell silent as the impossible ship settled into the berth with impossible grace. Its hull continued to shift and flow, and as Marcus emerged from an airlock that hadn't been there moments before, the entire structure began to fold in on itself until it was no larger than a personal shuttle. Professor Zixathala was waiting in the docking bay, his chromatophores cycling through every color in the spectrum, a sign of extreme agitation among his kind. "Mr. Chen," he said, his voice barely steady, "what have you done?" Marcus grinned, and in that expression was all the audacious confidence that had carried humanity from Earth to the stars. "I built a starship, Professor. Turns out those tools were exactly what I needed." "Impossible. No single being can construct a starship in 10 days. The computational requirements alone—" "I didn't compute it," Marcus interrupted. "I felt, see, your people, all the galactic races, you approach engineering like mathematics. Everything has to be calculated, planned, predicted. But humans? We tinker, we improvise, we feel our way through problems. Zixthala's arm tendrils writhed, in confusion. But the materials, the energy requirements, the fundamental physics? Marcus pulled out the quantum scanner, but it had been modified beyond recognition. Crystalline matrices grew from its surface like technological coral, and it hummed with energies that made the professor's sensory organs ache. I started with your tools, but then I began to understand something. Your technology is built on the assumption that the universe follows rules, but humans have always been good at breaking rules. Marcus gestured to his ship, which had now compressed itself into something the size of a cargo container. This doesn't run on fusion or antimatter or quantum foam. It runs on the one thing humans have always had in abundance, which is pure bloody-minded stubbornness. Marcus's grin widened. I told it that physics was just a suggestion, and it believed me. Professor Zixthala stared at the impossible vessel, his ancient mind struggling to process what he was seeing. In 3 centuries of teaching, he had seen the methodical precision of the crystallines, the fluid grace of the Zephyrians, the cold logic of the synthetics. But never had he encountered anything like human creativity, the ability to look at the fundamental laws of reality and ask, but what if we did it differently? Mr. Chen, he said finally, his chromatophores settling into the deep purple of profound respect, I believe you may have just revolutionized galactic civilization. Marcus shrugged, as if reshaping the laws of physics was just another day at the workshop. I still need to pass your class, Professor. Got any more assignments? As news of the impossible human starship spread throughout the galaxy, one thing became clear. Humanity had not joined galactic civilization to follow in the footsteps of others. They had come to show everyone what was possible when you refused to accept that anything was impossible at all.